So the first thing is people, they expect that life just goes up like a straight line. They think that it's just a case of everybody starts, has an idea and goes straight up. And it doesn't. What it actually does is it has peaks and troughs, it has highs and lows. So for the people that feel that they never get anywhere, their high is always the same high. So they have a high and they have the same low, and they have the same high and they have the same low. So that the height of each high doesn't get any higher. Right? It's just, if you imagine the top of a wave, it gets to a certain height and it goes down, and then the top of the next wave is the same height as the previous wave and it goes down, and then the next wave and so on, and it's just the same highs and the same lows. And what happens is it becomes mundane because they're trying all this stuff and it's just not changing. The high's the same, the low's the same, and they feel stuck in a rut because nothing's progressing. And you get people that are on a downward spiral. And how would their graph look like? What would that look like? Well, it would look like they would have a high, and then they would have a steep low, and they'd have a lower high, which means that the wave wouldn't go back to the height of the previous one. It would be a lower high, and then it would go way further down than the previous low, and then it would go to a lower high. So you can see it's just like downward steps. It goes down and down and down and down and down, and that's the downward spiral. That's people that are on a slippery slope, or they're making bad choices, or they're nose diving. That's what's happening there. They are making lower highs and lower lows. And what do you get? One of the worst ones that I've seen that I think, for people that try this, I mean, I understand why they want it, but it's a real difficult thing to see, is they go, I just want an easy life. And what they do is they want to reduce the height. They don't like the high or the low. They don't like the volatility. They don't like this high, low, high, low, high, low. So they want an easy life. They'll say, I just want an easy life. And what they do is they take out the high and make it lower, and they take out the low and make it higher. And it means that their wave looks like a tiny wave. And they just have a life that they feel unhappy with, because there's no adventure there. There's no spirit. They're not progressing. So what is the answer? Right, what should you seek? Right, so we know that it doesn't go in a straight line. We know that we don't want a lower high and a higher low, because that's a downward. That looks like you're just going down on a downward spiral. You're just, in a tailspin, and you don't want to take out the movement of that high and that low, because that makes you have a life that doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, and you just feel like there's no adventure. Well, the way to do it is what we described to Nathan, and he got it straight away, because he knew exactly what I meant with his challenges, is that you want to have the wave is high, and then it goes low, and then on the next it goes even higher than the previous high, and then on the next low it goes higher than the previous low, and then it goes higher again, and then a lower high, and then higher again, and a lower high, a higher low, sorry. So we've got higher high, higher low, and then the next wave is even higher high, and then it goes above the previous low. And what you get is an upward progression, where it's like the steps going up the way, and that's called progress. It's called growth. Now, what I would suggest that you do there is that when you get a low, what's happening is you need to adjust your pattern, whatever it is that you're doing, and there's a lesson in there that you can tweak. So that might be becoming more efficient, becoming more disciplined, or becoming more structured, or maybe there's something that you need to add in, or maybe there's something you're doing that's taken away from your progress. There'll be a lesson in there, and imagine it's like a little gem, and at the bottom of that low, you get to keep that gem as long as you learn the lesson. And there's a lesson in each one of those. And if you learn the lesson of that low, guess what happens? You go to a higher high. And then the next time when you get the low, what happens then? You learn the gem, you collect the gem, it's yours to keep, you learn from it, and you get a higher high. If you do this often enough, what you get very good at is that you will get a really long high and a very short low, and a really long high and a very short low, and you get a really long high and a really short low. And what you're doing there is you're prolonging the highs, and you're so efficient at learning and adapting and adjusting on the low that they remain for a short period of time. You go straight back on the up. And that's why you get people that rise like stars, because what they're doing there is they have cracked the understanding of their emotional mastery. So let's summarize what they've done. They have understood that your thoughts and focus will determine your outcomes, which will predominantly come from your thoughts and focus will drive your feelings, and your feelings will drive you incredibly well or incredibly poorly, dependent on which emotions you create with your thoughts and focus. And then that will drive your actions, which will then create the next batch of thoughts, which will then determine your focus, which will drive you towards even stronger emotions, which will then drive the actions, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What they've done is they've understood that they focus on the right things and think about the things that are going to get them there. And then the second part of what they do is they know that to expect lows, and that those lows have a lesson in there. And what you want to do is learn that lesson as quickly as possible so that you can get back to the higher high. And with that, they can rise for the whole of their lifetime to get to wherever it is that they desire, because they understand the apparatus and it's within us all. This is the keys to getting the most out of life. And it's crazy because there is untold amount of people that have described this in many different stories, in many different ways, because they understand how it works. And what they're describing is, hey, look, I was just like you. I was a normal dude. I was a normal guy. I was a normal girl. This is what I had this dream, I had this idea, or I kept making this same mistake. And I wondered to myself, how do I stop doing this? How do I get a better result? And here's what I learned. And I did this, and I did this, and I did this. And they all tell a similar tale. It's all a description of this wonderful apparatus that we have in us all. And you have the power to use that within you. And if you learn and apply this, you will get massive results almost instantly. So if you like this sort of stuff and you want to be part of a community, then consider coming along to my mindset coaching community.